Hello and welcome to Miller's Musings, not this week, but usually a weekly vlog series where we go through everything to do with mental health, depression and just life and things that we all struggle with and I think people should be talking about. People aren't talking about it, so I thought, hey, well, that's not true, people are, but I thought I'd like to throw my my hat in the ring as well, because I think the more people talk about it, the more normal and more natural this stuff becomes, and that's how it should be. Because everyone, as I always say in all these videos, everyone is struggling and we just do what we can to get through the day. We didn't have one last week. Not going to get into the reasons why. This sounds like a pimp for my Patreon, but it's not. But all the information is on my Patreon. We'll just leave it at that. And I wanted to segue into something that a lot of people have been asking me about over the last few weeks, which is bullying. Now, I think we did one on bullying a few months ago, but I can't remember. And I looked, I couldn't find anything. And I thought, well, we can always do more, right? We can always talk about more. And also, if we do talk about bullying, because I think I've said this, if I did do it, we can talk about my own experiences with that. And I'm not ashamed or upset to talk about it. That yes, not only was I bullied in school, today, without wanting to be too overly positive and annoying, I know sometimes I get too much, but hey, what are you going to do? Let me start here, actually. There's a level and a balance to bullying. I'm not saying, basically with me, being bullied in school actually made me the person I am today. And I think that's a story that a lot of us who have been bullied will appreciate. It gives you a certain... it depends how you react to it. It depends what the bullying is. Because I don't want it to come across... I know there's some form of bullying, especially in today's world with social media, which obviously didn't exist when I was a kid because I'm really old, which does go too far. And some people take their lives because the bullying gets too much. So I'm not saying that bullying is good on any level. In fact, I'm saying that if you are a bully, you're basically a piece of shit. And that's true. However, there's always silver lining in some aspects of it. And again, I can just talk from my own experiences. I cannot talk for anybody else's. It did make me the person who I am today. It made me very headstrong. It made me have to understand who I was as a person earlier than maybe other people would have done. I'm sure there's some bad traits that I've taken away from it as well. But it gave me a perception of, don't get me wrong, at the time it was awful and I struggled with it a lot. But I mean, once I started to accept it and once I started to understand it, I guess, for lack of a better term, or at least understand it from the bully's perspective, because I think we can say that for a lot of bullies, it's insecurity and struggles on their end and they're lashing out. Doesn't make it right. It's never right. But for me anyway, once I processed all that, I realized it gave me, for example, I stopped drinking when I was 18 years of age. The only reason I stopped drinking is because I found the gym and fell in love with it and read that if you stop drinking, it's going to help with that. And that was more important to me than to drinking. But also because I had a bad experience. So I did that. Oh, I don't want to drink again, but I stuck to it. But I honestly believe that what helped me, and again, I don't mean, this makes it sound like, I'm not saying I'm anti-drink or alcohol. I'm not. I think if you want to drink alcohol, you should go out and get as drunk as you want within health reasons. That's nothing to do with me. And I think vice versa as well. My point being, when I did give that up, I think the reason I was able to do it with so much strength is because of everything that happened to me during school when I was bullied. Because, I don't know, I guess it just gave me a very good sense of self. And it made me realize from a very young age that, of course, you should respect and treat people nicely and all those things, but also you want to make sure that you live for you. You know, that's what I realized. Because a lot of things I was being bullied about were things I was like, I don't understand it. So I was bullied for liking pro wrestling, which ties into, a lot of my stuff that I do on the internet these days. I was bullied for being Jewish. Something that, that one didn't happen that much, but it still did happen. And I'm exceptionally proud of my Jewish heritage. And, so it's... it's a strange thing, to be bullied for. And also I was bullied because, the people I was hanging around with were deemed nerds. And therefore they all threw me into that group. I remember one time to have the time to do this, and they call me the nerd. But somebody had drawn out a little sketch, I guess, or a map, whatever you want to call it, of the school. And they'd highlighted where you hung out. And wherever you hung out, there was a legend, like a color coordinated thing, and that was a key, and that resulted, what do you call it? I can't think of the right word, but that balanced out to whether you were cool or not. So if you sat by the lockers, you were cool. If you were by the other lockers where me and my mates hang out, you were nerds. And that is absolutely ridiculous. And, I would get hounded all the time. I'm not going to get into specifics, but, a lot of things happened that I didn't like. And yeah, I don't like, I'm trying to find the positive within this without going too far, because I completely understand there may be some people out there watching this who are getting bullied, and it's just too much. And I'm not saying it can go in this direction. You should always seek help. You should always tell somebody as well. I think I should probably stress, you should never suffer in silence. I think is a really good thing. I know that you worry the bullying is going to get worse, But in my opinion, it's always better to talk about these things, no matter what it is: bullying, depression, sadness, happiness. If you feel like you need to talk about someone, you feel like you're struggling, you should talk to someone. Somebody will be out there to help you. And also, bullies are a piece of shit. So don't let them, run your life, essentially, because that's not fair. However, my point and the silver lining, the spin that I'm trying to get it from my point of view, in case you are being bullied and you think you want to hear a success story, for lack of a better term, is that, it made me the person who I am today. And it made me realize from a very young age, just do what you want, Simon. Live for you. Be a good person, obviously. It didn't make me bitter in any sense. But it made me, like I said, that's why I used the drinking thing. Maybe I would have relented more. But I was like, no, I've already gone through all this crap. I don't want to do this, so I'm going to be headstrong and I'm going to just not do it. I'm not going to be peer pressured into it. Doesn't mean it wasn't easy. It doesn't mean it was easy, sorry. It wasn't. It was very difficult. And sometimes you have to have that stiff upper lip. But that did all come from that, and I think that comes in all forms as well. That comes to, I like to think I've got a good work ethic. That comes from there. Going out of my way to make sure I'm indulged in my passions. That came from there. So my point being is that I think we should look at it this way. If you are being bullied, there is obviously a huge chance that, or you're probably going to think it's you, right? Why am I being bullied? It must be something to do with me. And it's categorically not. Because if somebody is, let's say, even if you are, maybe you are a bad person. I don't know. But even if you are, it's not the point. If somebody is still bullying you, then all of that transfers onto them. Because whether you're good, bad, mediocre, decent, up, down, left, right, whatever, none of us as human beings should be bullying other people. What right does anybody have to do that to somebody else, to make somebody else miserable? It's ridiculous in many ways, which is why when I talk about trying to understand it from their point of view, I mean, some people are just assholes. There's no two ways about it. But usually it's because they're suffering and they're struggling as well, and they don't know what to do. So they lash out at others. Not an excuse. It's awful. But I think, again, depending on your situation, knowing that can help a little bit. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go and get help. As I said, you absolutely should, but that's usually where it comes from, which is why I think bullying is such an interesting thing to talk about on videos like this, because really, it's a mental health thing. If you are struggling so much and you have so much internal conflict that you don't know what to do with, that you use that to then try and lower others down to your level, essentially, so you feel better, that's something that you need to talk about too. So if you're a bully and somehow you've watched this, then you should go talk to someone, because you need help. And as I always say, there's nothing wrong with needing help. We all need help. I need help. You need help. The whole human race needs help, because we're just, this species that's walking on this crazy planet that's spinning towards, I don't know, whatever, the sun. And that's why I think sometimes it's nice just to hear a friendly voice saying that it will be okay. It doesn't mean it's okay at the moment, but again, I can only talk from my own experiences, which I've said a lot now, but I understand what a sensitive and balanced topic this has to be. But I am, I look back, I'm not going to name names, I remember all their names, because they had that much of an impression on me. I remember what they did. I remember, I just remember, I didn't like school very much because of that. I found it very, very intimidating. But I found my way through it. I got to the other side. And when I did get to the other side, I said to myself, Simon, who are you? What do you want to be? And what do you want to do? And because of all that, I threw myself into it. It's that classic, it's almost a cliche that, the cool kids in school, this isn't always the case, of course, but again, stereotype. The cool kids in school, once that period runs out, they don't really know what to do. Whereas the nerds or the geeks, because they've been shunned from school society, have gone out their way to figure out what they do like and indulge in their passions, and they go on to be really successful. Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates tells that story all the time. But I thought I was willing to talk about it, and I thought sometimes it's nice to hear other people's experiences. And like I said, I don't mind talking about it. I did get bullied for a long, long time. It ended, if you care. I don't think you should do this. I'm just saying this happened with me when I one day just punched the bully straight in the face. Couldn't take it anymore. Came up to me, gave me a push. I was just like, I'm not doing it. I smacked him right in the face. It was one of those situations where I kind of got in trouble, but I didn't, because I think all the teachers knew what had been going on. But I hypocrite, I didn't tell anybody. So they knew what had happened, but they kind of let it slide. And I think the only regret I do have from there is I always said to myself, if I somehow managed to get out of that situation, I would never, let myself become a part of the cool kid clique, because I didn't want to do that. But surprise, as soon as it did happen, I just didn't want to go through that stress anymore, so I did do that, and I've always kind of regretted it. But again, I was a little kid. I don't think you can have, you can't hold that against yourself too much. But we live and learn. And my point has always been this: doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter where you come from. Really, we should all just try and get on as best as we can. Not everyone's going to be friends. You have to have certain interests. And again, some people just don't click. But that doesn't mean you should go out of your way to harm or upset or do anything to anybody else that could affect their well-being, because I don't think that's very fair. Bit of a ranty one, this one. Bit of a ranty one, but hey, I wanted to get back into the swing. As always, leave a comment below. Let me know what other stuff, what other subjects, what other topics we should touch on. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. That way you know when these are going to go up. I'm on Twitter at Simon316 if you want to come chat about this. And otherwise, tell a friend if you think it's going to help. And yeah, just remember that everything is going to be all right. And to take care of yourself. And again, the sadness is all right, happiness is all right. They're all emotions. We all experience them. And remember that next time you're feeling down, that I can bet you quite a high percentage that a lot of other people are feeling down too. That's just what happens. But thank you very much for watching, and I will be back next week.